Hi and welcome to Distilling in Australia. My name is Nick and today I want to do just a quick update on this fermenter here. But before we get into it, here's 5 seconds of your life that you'll never get back. Okay, so for those of you who have been watching the channel, about 3-4 months ago we received the delivery of this. It's a 1,000 litre working capacity fermenter, 1,200 litres in total. So as you can see, it's a fair bit taller than me. I'm 184 centimetres or about 6'1", so you can see it's quite a bit higher. So it's a bit of a beast, but I just wanted to give you an update and give you a bit of information about what I've learnt from this fermenter. Now, this fermenter is made out of a 3mm 304 stainless steel. So it's a single skin, so it's not a double skin. It is actually a single skin. Over here is the control box. Okay, so with the control box we have 2 PIDs. One PID is for the cooling and the other PID is for the heating. So we have 2 cables that run off here and they go through to the heating elements, one here, one around the other side. The cooling part gets connected to a pump, and then the lines, the little cold water lines, get connected to two tri-clamp attachments on the other side. So that's the basic setup. So what I've learnt, all right, so this is what I've learnt from this particular setup. First and foremost, there's 2 temperature sensors. I have a high temperature sensor and a low temperature sensor. The temperature between these 2 points varies significantly. So there's a big temperature difference between these 2 particular probes. And also I have a manual probe which is here, which sits about halfway between it. So I tend to use this analog temperature probe because it sort of gives me a midpoint temperature of the fermentation. Because of the yeast I use, it's a high tolerant yeast in terms of temperature. I found that starting the fermentation at about 35, 37 degrees Celsius gets me the best result in terms of time and fermentation. Now, the one thing that I will let you know is, in actual fact, this is full. Okay, so this is actually the 3rd batch that I've now fermented in this particular tank. So that's ready for distillations. I get about 8 distillations because, as those of you who watch the program know, I run a 130 litre still. So I get roughly 8 fermentations out of each batch. What I've found is that I actually don't need the cooling. Because the surface area of the fermenter is so large, it tends to keep the wash within the tolerances of the yeast. So I've actually just disconnected the cooling part. So inside here, for those of you who have seen in the past, and I'll pop a little window over here about the inside, but it's got this coil through here, and the cold water runs through the coil and theoretically is supposed to cool the wash down so it doesn't run away with the temperature. I found that it's not necessary. I just don't use it because the temperature hasn't run away. Having said that, I did go and visit another distillery that does rum washers. Rum washers, and they actually let their wash heat up to 40 degrees, which to me was quite high. I was a bit surprised when they told me that they let it run to 40 degrees, but that's the way that they do it to get their particular style of rum. So I thought that was very interesting. So I found that sort of like, for me, the 35, 37 degrees Celsius is sort of the Goldilocks temperature range that I like to use. I don't need to use any cooling. Yes, obviously I use the heating because to get it up to that temperature when I fill it up. That's basically an update on this baby. Is it working? Yes, it's working very, very well. I'm happy with the results. Customers are happy at the markets, which is all that counts, because at the end of the day, the customers are going to like your product. And having said that, not everyone likes it, and that's okay. It's like food. Not everyone likes the same food, so nothing wrong with that at all. But I'm getting good responses at the markets, selling the produce. And so, yeah, so everything seems to be working well. So that's all I really wanted to go through with the fermenter. In case you're getting a fermenter made, if it's going to be a single skin, it's probably unlikely that you're going to need cooling. You're certainly going to need heating. But, you know, as long as you're using a yeast that's got a sort of a 30, 35, 37 degrees Celsius tolerances, you should be okay. Having said that, I have started the second fermentation at 31 and it only went up to about 32 Celsius. So it only went up about 1 degree. And again, I'm putting that down to the large surface area, keeping it cool. It's fairly warm here at the moment. It's about 30 degrees, but I find that the thermal conductivity of the stainless steel is enough to keep it at the tolerances and the right temperatures. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say on this. Just a very quick, short video on this beast. All in all, very happy with it. Am I happy with the investment I made? Yes, it's turning out to be worthwhile for me. Now, it's not. You can buy your neutral grain spirits from the commercial distilleries and it works out probably at the end of the day around about the same sort of money. There's no huge cost saving in doing it this yourself. The only benefit I found is that in terms of selling the product, when you explain to customers that you ferment your own alcohol, everything's done in-house, it just to me is a bit of a sales tool. Okay, so whether or not you want to go to all this trouble, that's up to you, but I found that it works well for me and it's always something I want to do. I want to do the whole thing in-house. And again, I'm not building an empire here. As I've said many times, this is my retirement gig. It's something to give me something to do whilst the last sort of 10 years of my working life. So yes, and I'm talking about going into my 70s, not into my 60s, because obviously I'm already into my 60s. Anyway, that's it. Sorry, won't keep waffling on. Have a great week. Happy distilling. Stay safe. Ciao for now. Distilling alcohol is illegal in Australia unless you hold the appropriate licenses and permits. I am not a lawyer and the contents of this video are not intended to be legal advice. Do not rely on any information contained in this video and seek your own legal professional advice before making any decisions. Be aware, the Australian Tax Office and the local law enforcement agencies will be taking interest in this channel due to its content. Please keep this in mind before posting any comments. Any comments posted are the opinion of the person posting and not of this channel. Let's get started.